Rest easy, Vikings fans. JJ McCarthy had another really good performance. How should we feel about it? When we go back and watch the tape, what do we see? How good should we feel about the fact that it was against a bad defense? What about the Justin Jefferson concerns? Vikings are eliminated from the playoffs. How much should these guys be playing when it comes to our superstars? One of them is already out for the season, and we'll talk about that. Welcome to the Real Forno Show, where we are going to break it all down and then some.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Real Forno Show, hosted by the one and only Tyler Forness. A to Z Sports sought him out to be their Minnesota Vikings reporter and NFL analyst. And he's a proud contributor over at SKOL North's Purple Daily. Tyler is also the captivating host of The Good, The Bad, and The Hungry on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, and a founding member of Vikings First and SKOL.
What? You got a lot of reverb. Welcome to the Real Forno Show. I'm your host, Tyler Forness. With me, as always, is producer Dave in the top left corner. And we are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. With the promo code FORNO, on your first $5 play, you can get $75 in bonus credit. One heck of a performance on Sunday night from JJ McCarthy and these Minnesota Vikings. It was a mixed bag. Let's just put it that way. It started out pretty rough with that interception and McCarthy trying to hit the ball down. And guess what? Got intercepted. And you could just feel the fan base just be like, really? Again? We're going to deal with this again. You can hear Dave pouring a drink right now. That's exactly how we all felt. But he rebounded, and I think that kind of mental fortitude is a good thing because it's prime time. This isn't a noon game against the Carolina Panthers where only the local markets are seeing it. This is everybody's watching it. You're probably talking about 20 million people. I haven't seen the Nielsen numbers, but that's probably about what we're talking about here. It can be a tough thing for anybody to screw up like that. But then to do it in front of that many people and still come back and put up that kind of performance is a really good thing. We talked a lot last night about it, and we're going to talk more today. So I've only had a chance to watch a little bit of the film, and I got to tell you, some really good, some still questionable things. But that's exactly what we expect here, because this is a young quarterback who is still navigating his first starts. He is still navigating how to play the position in the National Football League. So when you look at all of those factors together, there's a lot that we're going to be able to talk about from a good and bad perspective. But that's exactly what we expected this year because we have a first-time starting quarterback. And now that we've had a chance to sleep on it, Dave, how do you feel about this now versus what we felt last night? Just because you're obviously riding a high after the game, and then you come back down to earth the next day. Do you still feel the same as you did?
Well, it's Victory Monday, and of course, I'm enjoying this Monday. It's the JJ McCarthy is developing. That's what we wanted to see. His decision-making's getting better. His throws are getting better. Discounting the wonky mechanics, especially to the left. But I think it's cool. What I don't get is the folks, we have one in the Gallahorn group that just can't stand McCarthy. And after 4 games was ready to throw him in the garbage. It's just like, are you kidding me? He's won half his games. He's improving. And he's now rating elite status in the last 2. Both in EPA and PFF scores and all that. Why? Why would you want? I want to see further development.
Yeah. I would like to see further development too. And I'll be honest, there have been times throughout this process where I'm like, okay, are we in a position where this guy is really going to be the future of the franchise? Because when you take a look at everything, all encompassing, and I keep looking back at those Kevin O'Connell quotes, organizations fail young quarterbacks before young quarterbacks fail organizations. We talked on the show about how I thought that there was a chance that the Vikings would see JJ McCarthy as failing them because of how often he gets injured. He has now played 10 games in the National Football League, 2 preseason, and has 4 documented injuries. It's better than when we talked about it a couple weeks ago when it was 8-4. But that matters. That matters to the whole conversation. And all of these little details add up and form the entire puzzle, because you can't have the puzzle without that Falcons game. You can't have it without the fourth quarter against the Chicago Bears. Everything matters. Everything's all encompassing. And each data point helps you learn, grow, and potentially be better from what you were yesterday. Or in inverse, you can potentially be worse because of it. There's so many different layers to the entire conversation, which is why we talk about as many of them as possible on the show, because I'm not just going to tell you that he was great. I'm not just going to tell you, oh, I hate him. Like this isn't the Bo Nix hate hour, which I promise you I could do, but he was pretty good against the Packers yesterday.
Speaking of another elite level quarterback this year,
I'm not going to call him an elite level quarterback, and I think it'd be disingenuous to do so. But a lot of his success is due to Sean Payton, and right now, Kevin O'Connell, you could say the same thing about JJ McCarthy, and that's not an insult. That is, hey, the coach sees what he has in the quarterback, and he's maximizing what it is. I liked a lot of what I saw yesterday. I'm still worried about little things. I'm still worried about the mechanics. I'm worried about when you're watching him just put every ounce into these throws, how strong his arm really is. I truly don't believe he's got this elite arm. And I think some people have kind of sold us a bad bill of goods there, because when he puts his base into it, very strong. It's a whip. He can put the ball pretty much wherever he wants. But if he's off platform, if he's moving, that arm isn't the same as a John Elway, a Dan Marino, a Brett Favre, an Aaron Rodgers. It's not the same caliber, which is fine. You don't have to have that kind of arm. But when I see that sick throw that he made for the first touchdown to Jalen Naylor, where he's suspended in midair and he's torquing every single ounce of his being to make that throw, a little bit concerning for me. And it's concerning as far as it being repeatable, because to me, that's a big factor here. How much of what we're seeing is repeatable? I really don't know that answer right now. We're not going to see that throw from McCarthy very often, so it's lower on the list. But the concept of he needs to have his base underneath him, he needs to be able to torque and get that to really unlock what his arm strength can be, makes it so when he's in disadvantageous situations, he can't unlock the arm strength the same way that other guys can. It's another piece to the puzzle, another, I don't want to say that this is a red flag, but another, hey, potentially this just ain't working, buddy. And looking at every aspect here, I think the mechanics are getting better, but the one thing that keeps giving me pause, Dave, and this will be the lead topic for the show, he's doing it against 2 really, really bad defenses. And I don't want to use it necessarily as a criticism. It's not a criticism that he dominated 2 bad defenses. It's not saying that he can't do it against good defenses. This is one of the things, like, let's go back to how I felt about JJ McCarthy in the scouting process. I thought there were too many variables to have him with a super high grade, because we did not get to see him in a lot of situations that we saw a lot of the other top quarterbacks. We didn't get to see him play in a lot of fourth quarters. We didn't get to see him play in a lot of close games. We didn't get to see him in situations where this is a gotta have it drive and you need to go do it. We did see it, but it was very limited in comparison to his peers. And those variables for me weren't a disqualifier, but it made me more concerned, or probably the better way to frame it is less certain that the good of the evaluation is going to be what emerges. Because the more data points you have, the more certain you can be about your evaluation process. It's why whenever we talked about draft prospects, I was so certain that Quincy Riley was going to be a good NFL corner, because we had 6 years of data on him. We had multiple years of him starting at Louisville, a Power 4 school, and he played well. The more data points you have, the better evaluation you can give. And with McCarthy right now, the best data points we have aren't against the best defenses. He has not put a full game together against a really good defense or even against a good defense. Those are the things that I'm looking for next. And this isn't to say he's not going to do it. That's not what this is about. This isn't saying that, hey, we need to dock him for the fact that he dominated these good defenses and he hasn't had success against a great one. This is, okay, we've reached the certain point on the mountaintop. Now you have to get to the next peak. All right. How are you going to do that? And that next step is going to be he needs to play against a good defense and put up the same kind of performance. He needs to put up a positive 0.3 EPA or better performance. He needs to throw 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then score another on the ground. I want to see that against a good defense. At that point, then I think we can feel really good about where we're at in this development process. We should take a look at all the good in this game and feel great about it. But I want to see more. I want to see him take another step. Because if he goes and then just craps the bed against a good defense, then we're at a point where, okay, we felt really good about the development of this quarterback, but now we're taking a step back. That's the whole idea of, hey, he hasn't done it against a good defense yet. It's another data point in the evaluation that we just don't have right now. So once we get there, can he deliver? Can he do it? Can he make it happen? That's going to be the big question. That's going to be what we're going to be watching for. Giants defense is okay. They have great pass rushers, but it's not a good defense overall. The Lions can be a good defense, but in the first matchup, he had a really good opening drive and a really good end of the game, and then the middle was just kind of Like the whole picture wasn't great, but he got the win. The Packers, they won't face him with Micah Parsons. First time they played the Packers, J.J. McCarthy looked like a lost puppy. Not good. So even without Micah Parsons, when they come to town in the final week of the year, hopefully we can play spoiler of some kind. How is J.J. McCarthy going to handle that? How is he going to do against a good defense? Because right now we don't have a data point saying that he can do that. But it's not a disqualifier. Doesn't mean he can't. But before I really feel comfortable about the direction and how things are going, I want to see him do those things against a better unit, because let's not kid ourselves. That Cowboys unit sucks. It's bad. Matt Eberflus
defensive line is fine.
No, they didn't do shit last night. Let me tell you.
But they are one of the top defensive interior rushers. And just discounting them because the back end's bad. J.J. McCarthy had higher EPA than everybody that's played him so far this season, I believe, or close to it. That's with good quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes type quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts type quarterbacks. And he still played better than that. Now, you're talking about he's got to show. Well, we see comparisons with Josh Allen and Christian Ponder all the time. And you like to bring up Peyton Manning in their first season, in their first number of games.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen, when he came out, couldn't hit the broadside of a freaking barn. He had a cannon for an arm, but he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. It took off seasons worth of training to get his footwork right. It took him to his third season, I believe.
It was mainly the hips. That was his big thing.
But it was still something wrong. Now, as for playing good defenses, you're going to tell me that the remaining 3 games are not against good defenses. And so they shouldn't count. I think that's faulty logic.
I never said that they shouldn't count. They should count. You should be doing these things against
you want
defenses.
to see him against a good defense. That's not going to happen until next year by your logic.
Well, you can argue that the Packers are still a good defense. You can argue that the Lions are a good defense at times. Look,
Packers lost 2 of their starters on the defense. Micah Parsons and somebody else.
I'm not trying to disqualify anything about J.J. McCarthy. I'm not trying to say that anything is bad. I'm just saying that we have not been able to see him play really well against a good defensive unit. And as we've seen with a lot of quarterbacks, including those in Minnesota, when good quarterbacks play against good defenses, how do they handle? It is obviously worse on average. But what does that look like?
Chicago's defense? I haven't even looked.
I don't think they're very good.
You've got to win the games that are on the schedule.
I don't give a shit about winning. I'm talking about strictly the quarterback's performance.
And you
just isolating the quarterback's performance. The defense has so much to do with this team winning football games. I want to see what this quarterback can do against a good defense. What does that look like when they throw him curveballs, when they do a lot of that post-snap rotation stuff, which the Commanders didn't do, the Cowboys didn't do, and I don't know if the Giants are going to do it. I want to see what he does when he has to face a coordinator on the level of a Brian Flores. What I wanted to see him against Mike McDonald really bad for that exact reason, because Mike McDonald is similar but not similar to Brian Flores. He likes to do the disguise stuff. He likes to send simulated pressures and unique blitz looks, and he will do a bunch of crazy things. But McCarthy got injured, and we didn't get a chance to see that. I want to see that, and that's a part of the whole evaluation process. A good quarterback should dominate bad defenses. McCarthy did. Hell yeah. I love it. But we're not talking about just now. I'm talking about how comfortable we should feel moving forward. And for me, the next thing I want to see, other than continued success, I want to see him sustain some of this stuff. I want to see him against a good defense and take him out. I want to see how he handles those post-snap rotations. I want to see how he handles things at the line of scrimmage when they are trying to fuck with him. Those are the things, to me, that are going to be really important for that next step of his development, because that is going to be what really translates towards long-term success.
How many of those defenses exist in the NFL?
In that exact form, with every single detail I just pronounced, probably like 5. With most of them, 10 to 12. That Packers defense is pretty damn good. And when they played him at Lambeau Field, he turtled. He was awful.
Right. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm saying he's basically in his rookie season. He's played 8 games.
I'm aware of all that. Yeah.
So
I'm talking about
has he
projection
grown
forward.
Over it? Yes. Peyton Manning lost how many games his first season?
13.
How many were against great defenses?
I don't know. I'm not looking at the schedule. I'm not looking at the stats.
It happens. It's whether you learn from it and grow that matters. And if JJ is learning and growing, making better decisions, quicker decisions, we are a go to go forward with it, in my opinion. And just because you guys say, well, now he's got to win a Super Bowl before I'll believe. To me, that's what this sounds like. And it's BS.
No, this isn't what this sounds like at all.
You're telling me he's got to put up the check mark of he's got to beat a good defense. We're going to make it through the next 4 games, and he won't play a good defense by your definition. And you're saying you're going to go into next year and go, we still got to see. Right?
Yeah, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't move forward with him. That's not what this conversation's about at all. I'm not saying that he has to be God in order for him to really prove that anything. I'm saying he needs to sustain this level of play, and it could take a little bit of a dip. Let's just be real, because this level of play has been really, really good. But there's a variable out there where he has not been able to do it against a really good defense yet, and that's going to stick, and that's going to be floating out there. And until he does, there's going to be questions about it. It's an all-encompassing discussion point. I'm not saying it's Super Bowl or bust. If this guy never wins a Super Bowl, but he has like 10 Pro Bowls in his career, are we going to call it a failure? To a point, it always will be. I mean, Dan Marino's career was technically a failure because he never was able to win the big one. But you look at that, and he had one of the best NFL careers for any quarterback ever because of what he was able to do with that football. My thing is, I'm talking about an all-encompassing development point where you have a quarterback who has played very well against bad defenses, which it rocks. It's great. And he should not be criticized at all for it. I'm saying to really feel good about, hey, this is stamp the guy, no questions asked. I need to see him beat or play really well against a good defense. And I'm not saying that they should replace him. I'm not saying that he stinks. I'm not saying any of those things. But the next step in that development, other than staying consistent, I want to see him do it against a really good football team. And that part we have not seen with any kind of consistency this year. He did play really well for a quarter against the Bears. He played well for about, I'd say, around half-ish the game against the Detroit Lions. And it's debatable right now how good of a football team they are. But there's been no consistency otherwise. Yeah, he was pretty rough against the Ravens. He was terrible against the Packers. We got to see a little more. And to me, that next step, other than the consistency and continuing to do what he's doing, is doing it against a very good defense. And unfortunately, you're right. We might not see it this year. And that's okay. We're only 8 games into his development process. But we got to see it. Because if we don't see it, then you're going to have to talk about, hey, maybe this guy is on the level of a Christian Ponder where, hey, he can do it against the bad teams and he just can't pull it off against the really good ones. Or the Kirk Cousins dilemma, where Kirk Cousins stat sheet at the end of the year looks really good, but X, Y, and Z, he can't do it against in these types of situations. All I'm saying is I want to see it against a really good defense. And for me, the next step in that development curve is going to be doing that, other than just being consistent, which through 2 games, 8 consecutive quarters with touchdowns. It's the first time they did that since what? I think it was like 2003. Like, that's pretty impressive. Let's continue that path. And I want to see him do it against a good defense. And that, for me, will make me feel very, very, very good about where this young quarterback is going to be.
How much of it is Kevin O'Connell and the play calling?
I'd say it's... I don't really know how to put a number on that. It's for sure non-zero, and it's a high number.
Right.
But where that number
beginning
ranks,
of the season.
Where that number ranks, I don't know. Somewhere between 30 and 80%. Somewhere in that range. Because at the end of the day, and we talked about this with Carson Wentz, you can lead a quarterback to a good throw, but you can't throw it for them. They still have to, hey, identify that this guy is wide ass open and throw the football. And last time McCarthy did it. He found Jordan Addison. And look, people will knock him for throwing it a little short. No, it's good that he threw it a little short because he didn't overthrow him. You make sure that you don't overthrow that guy. You don't want to throw 10 yards short, but he threw it like 2 yards short. Jordan Addison had to slow down just a little bit, caught it, and you're inside the 5-yard line. It's better than overthrowing it and not getting it at all. That's what we had against the Falcons with that rail route to Jalen Naylor in the 4th quarter. Well, all of a sudden, now you don't have a chance to win the football game. Like, those little details have improved. My big thing is I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at the variables that we don't have. I'm looking at what he's presented us and who he's presented to us against. Because remember, at one point, this fan base thought Christian Ponder could be the guy. We've seen quarterbacks play really well against bad defenses, and then all of a sudden they can't do anything against a good one. It's a very complicated question with no concrete answer. And for me, that means exploring things like, hey, we need to take a look at it from the perspective of we still haven't seen it against a good defense yet.
Now, next season, we're either going to play a 4th place schedule, a 3rd place schedule. I don't think we can get 2nd place.
No.
So a 4th or a 3rd place schedule. and it's going to seem easier. And Kevin O'Connell may drive us to 13-4. Are you going to still use the same excuse of against a good defense if the qualities of defense are lower because we're playing the lower level schedule?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I think that's a stupid question because there's too many variables that we don't have. I can tell you who the opponents are going to be, though. The Vikings are going to play the NFC North, and they're going to play the NFC South and the AFC East, which means they're going to play the Bills and they're going to play the Patriots. They're going to play some good-ass football teams. They're also going to play one team from the NFC East, which is probably going to be the Commanders or the Giants. They're going to play one from the AFC South, which at this point is probably going to be the Colts or the Titans. And they're going to play one from the NFC West, which is either going to be, it honestly could be all four of them because of all three teams at the top. But if the Vikings finish fourth, which they're currently projected to do, it's probably going to be the Arizona Cardinals. Mm-hmm. I mean, the one thing here is the NFL is still a league where anything can change on a dime. And we saw that with the Vikings in 2021 to 2022, going from 7 wins to 13, then 7 to 14. It's a year-to-year proposition every time. The difference will be by the time we're done with next year, assuming JJ McCarthy doesn't get hurt, we're going to have 17 more games plus the final 3 games to really have any kind of conversation about what JJ McCarthy is as a quarterback. I can't tell you what those conversations will be like at this point next year because I don't have a time machine, nor will I want to try and really predict what's going to happen because quarterback play is incredibly volatile. The big thing for me is what haven't we seen? What have we seen? What can we use to project forward based on the evidence we have as far as, hey, this is where I want to be and this is what I want to do. This is what I want to see. And right now, I haven't seen him do it against a good defense. I haven't seen him stay consistent outside of playing 2 really bad defenses. So that increases your variables. When you increase your variables, you want to find situations where you aren't going to have those variables. And that's the entire conversation.
Or at least where they're known.
Yeah, this isn't to degrade JJ McCarthy or say that he's a bad football player. This is okay. This is where we're at in the development. And he deserves plenty of flowers for this game. He deserved them for last week too. And we gave it to him. But now it's about, okay, what do we need to see now moving forward? How do we take a look at this quarterback from a perspective of, okay, what haven't we seen? We still haven't seen it against that good defense. And for me, that's what I want to see more than anything. I want to see him go against a great defensive coordinator. I want to see him figure out things with Justin Jefferson, which is what we're going to talk about next, which is just incredibly bonkers how that just has not worked. Continue to see it. Continue to look for things that you don't know about the evaluation. Because this isn't me saying I don't think you can do it. This is me saying I think this is a variable, and I want to eliminate the variable with an answer. And it's honestly just that simple. I want to eliminate the variable. I want to find an answer. We don't have one.
But we're closer.
Yeah, we're closer every single game to having an answer of what McCarthy's going to be long term. Whether good, bad, anywhere in between. Every game is a data point. Every game provides us other data points. But at the same time, there are different things that we can learn or not learn from these situations. And I'm going to continue to scour and try and find what the tape is telling me is the right answer. I don't have an agenda with McCarthy. If it were up to me, the Vikings would just win the Super Bowl every single year. But my agenda is just trying to find out what the truth is. Trying to find out, okay, when you take a look at what McCarthy is doing, when you take a look at what you don't know, what are those? How can you find those answers? And for me, mechanics is going to be the discussion of the entire offseason. Mm-hmm. We're going to want to see those shored up. We're going to want to see him really take that next step forward.
Which coach is he working with? All that sort of stuff. Yes.
And Black Monday could be bloody for this Minnesota Vikings franchise. Let's just be honest. It could be bloody. Long-term, short-term. Like short-term, just play well these last 3 games. Be consistent. Don't turtle. Those are the 3 things I want to see. If you can do those things, we're going to feel great going into the next offseason. But if you don't, that's going to raise more questions. And we talked last week about the Joe Burrow thing. You and Darren spent a bunch of time on Saturday talking about it. Those conversations could heat up too. And even if McCarthy is good, and we feel really good about him after these last few games, that could still be a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's Joe Burrow, and he's a top 4 quarterback in the sport. We're in a situation where it's in year 2, and we have 8 games data points on your quarterback. Let's just be real, guys. That sucks. It sucks. We want to have more information. We want to know more about what this quarterback is going to be. Anybody that tells you that they know is lying to you. They don't. The whole point of this conversation is I don't know. I feel things because of what the tape says. I think that this is probably what it's going to end up looking like because of what we have. But the data points are so small, we just don't know. And to me, I want to find out. And that's why I've mentioned, and at this point, it's probably like 20 times, I want to see it against a really good defense. After he kind of got the cobwebs out, after he struggled and he had to go back to the drawing board because of the injuries, and he had to just calm down. Now that we have that out of the way, now let's talk about what he can be. Now let's take a look at what is he? Where is he going to go from here? And I want to eliminate some of those variables. That's it. My whole goal is just to try and find the answer. That's it. And quite frankly, we don't have it, and that sucks. I want to have an answer about your top 10 starting quarterback that you drafted in 2024. The reality is, because of injuries, we just don't. We'll get there, though. I see a lot of comments about Bo Nix. Look, Bo Nix had a really good game against the Packers, but look, he's a Sean Payton puppet. Nothing wrong with that. If he didn't have Sean Payton, no. And look, you go back and watch a bunch of games this season. He has been ass in multiple games. Just terrible. So that's all I'll say about Bo Nix. If he ends up like an all-pro quarterback, I'll eat crow. And you'll be able to watch me do it live on this show, I promise.
Okay, Brian asks me if we had Aaron Rodgers with this team, are we double-digit wins right now? One, Brian, I don't think I could stand Aaron Rodgers as quarterback of my team. But I also said that about Brett Favre, and Brett Favre had a magical 2009, as we all know. We probably have more wins by now if we had Brett Favre, or if we had Rodgers. Even with him old and only throwing short stuff, he'd probably drive KOC nuts with that sort of play. But we would probably be more successful. But how would he deal with all the offensive line injuries at the beginning of the season? I don't know. But it's because he's been there, done that, seen it all. He's developed. J.J. McCarthy is developing, and there's a big difference. Now, why I'm so high on J.J. McCarthy is the it factor. I've told it before. To me, my eyes, he has the it factor. And then call it leadership, call it moxie, call it, what did you call it? You called it swagger.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got that. And I like that in a quarterback. So, I don't want Rodgers on my team. Not this year, not next year. I want him to retire. Maybe he can retire in Chicago. They'll build a room for him in their stadium that he owns.
Yeah, I think this team maybe has 7-8 wins with Aaron Rodgers. The way that this whole team is played, I really don't think Rodgers is that much better at age 41 than what we've had at quarterback this year. And part of the problem with Aaron Rodgers is he expects receivers to know all these different signals when he changes them and then he doesn't communicate it. And this has been well documented in his time with the Jets, the Packers, and now the Steelers. That's a problem. So when I take a look at like the idea of Aaron Rodgers in our brains, we're thinking MVP Aaron Rodgers because that's kind of what our conditioning is, right? Because we've seen him play well for so long. This year's Aaron Rodgers, nah. I'm glad we didn't have him. I didn't want to watch him in purple. I'm sorry. If you did, I get it. But I had no interest. Favre, obviously, we know about a lot of the stuff that have come out about Favre. But in real time, he still had this boyish charm about just loving football.
And I like that in the quarterback.
Yeah, Rodgers just comes off like a guy you don't want to be around.
Like a douchebag.
Yeah, he comes off poorly. Comes off very poorly. And quite frankly, I just don't want that. But we have spent over a half hour talking about I want to see JJ McCarthy against a good defense. We'll talk about that some more, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think the best defense he's probably going to face is that Packers defense in week 18, as long as the Packers have something to play for. If not, we're probably not going to learn much from that game. But I do think one thing I found interesting is McCarthy's depth of target was 10.6 yards on average. O'Connell is doing a really good job of navigating McCarthy's not issues, but his lack of experience. And they're doing a really good job of doing so while still attacking down the field.
Right. What difference between yesterday's game in Washington was they were hunting more for explosives, and he was hitting it. He's making the decisions and hitting it.
And the explosives weren't like super long progressing, but I will say he was 10 of 14 for 178 yards on a touchdown on throws where he held the ball for 2.5 seconds or longer. And he generated 17.3 EPA, which was a top 8 performance this year from any quarterback in those parameters. So that's good. I think O'Connell, he's done a better job of not abandoning the run game. It's not that O'Connell doesn't like to run the football.
He did.
One of the things with O'Connell when it comes to the run game is if he gets down, he won't run the football. He will just do his thing. He will just try to hunt those explosives. And that's just been a thing with O'Connell. It's going to be a thing with him forever and ever and ever. Amen. I liked the fact that they were trying to find those explosives, but they also had easy buttons for McCarthy, the swing passes to Aaron Jones. They ran a slant to Justin Jefferson. We talked to Luke about this on X's and SKOLs. One of the big things about slants is it's just not the preferred method for this kind of offense to generate quick game. But slants is kind of how I found a lot of fans identify quick game. They just be like, oh, slant, done, perfect. Throw a slant. Well, it's not that simple. And with this Minnesota Vikings team, I think they've done a really good job of trying to mitigate some of those things. They had really good pass plays called in the red zone. I think the miss to Justin Jefferson in the corner, it was so funny because I can't remember who it was. It might have been Josh Oliver. It might have been Jalen Naylor. When McCarthy's starting to wind up, you see a guy jump up and he's going like this. There's nobody around him. He didn't make a bad decision by throwing it to Jefferson. He was open. But that's where some of the difficulties, when you see that on a live broadcast, it's like, well, he might not have gotten to him because if your first, like people make fun of quarterbacks with first reads. If the first read is open, who cares if the second, third, or fourth are open? It does not matter. It matters for, hey, this guy is still playing good football. The first read is open, you throw it. And you don't think twice. And it's okay. Because if the first read is open, that means the offense is doing its job. The scheme is good. The play was good. And the players are executing the vision of the offensive coordinator. And I thought they did a really good job. Like the running game, it felt like they were really effective. Dave, they really weren't.
No,
they
were
weren't
under
that
3
effective.
yards on average per carry. But the one thing that I did like is what you mentioned. He kept running the football.
Mm-hmm.
And we had more run plays and pass plays yesterday, which you would think, just watching it first, I would have never guessed that. And especially knowing his tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
But it helped. Even if we went incomplete on first down, he ran on second. I noticed that in the game. And J.J. McCarthy's now dealing with 3rd and 7 instead of 3rd and 10. And every yard positive helps. So on that 3rd and 7, he makes a completion, first down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot easier. Or he takes a shot. Say it's 3rd and 2. Or they get up to 2nd and 2. He has time to take a shot downfield, and there's times when he did. But as long as he sees the receiver open, the progression, the pure progression, we talked about it last week, it's simple. Look at number 1, number 2, number 3, and go on. It's not manipulating guys this way and watching way guys or defenders are moving to know that this space will be open, so you throw to that space. Not like how I was taught, but I'm an old timer. But if it works, it works. And that's the whole goal, is to make it work. And it did.
Yeah. This offense worked really nice. Shout out offensive line. I thought they had a very good game. They only allowed pressure on 25% of dropbacks, which is a very good number. If you're under 35%, you're doing a good job. Like that's 33 to 35% is kind of that threshold.
Where'd you get that number?
Pro Football Focus.
Okay. I've got
7 pressures on, I believe, 26 dropbacks. So
next gen
close to 30%.
Just 22.2% he was pressured on. But that's okay.
Well, they have
differently. Each
yeah.
site measures just slightly differently.
Mm-hmm. And I personally I personally prefer Pro Football Focus over Next Gen Stats for that, because Next Gen Stats uses tracking data versus Pro Football Focus will use charting, which I think it's good to use both of them, but I would much prefer to have the charting data for this, because it can be a little disingenuous with like dots versus, hey, what is actually happening on the rep? I thought the offensive line was good. They were moving people in the run game. They were keeping McCarthy relatively clean. It wasn't flawless. Justin School was perfectly capable. Wasn't great. Wasn't bad either. He was average.
He had a decent game.
That's all you want. Just play average, buddy. Don't be a catastrophe. And you can win football games with Justin School starting at tackle, just like the Vikings won with Blake Brandel starting at left tackle in 2022 when they beat the Bills and the Patriots in those big games in November. Just don't be a catastrophe and let everybody else help you out. Those are the big things. And I thought overall, good performance from them. Big thing, though, we got to talk about this Justin Jefferson chemistry issue. It's a combination of a couple of things. One, I think McCarthy is not throwing him as good of catchable footballs as he should be. Catchable football is in itself, I'm not going to say it's an oxymoron, but if the ball is in your purview, it's catchable. But you want to make it an easy catchable football. You want to make it easy for them to bring it in. And by throwing outside of his frame where you're extending every time, that's not an easy catchable football. Those details matter. Ball placement matters. And McCarthy right now does not have good ball placement when it comes to Justin Jefferson. How much of that is a lack of chemistry? How much of that is some mechanical? I think it's a combination of a lot of different things. But the reality is most throws to Justin Jefferson are not thrown with good placement to Justin Jefferson. It's that simple.
Yeah, but there are some that have been, and he's dropped them.
No, I'm getting there. Don't worry. The big thing is if it hits your hands as a wide receiver, square in the hands, not just off the fingertips, you got to catch that shit. And right now, Jefferson's not catching it, whether it be a mental block. And this is why a lot of teams will have sports psychologists, because you can get into a funk and it can just drive you bonkers mentally. So sports psychologists are a really valuable asset here. And that's not to say that Jefferson needs one, because he's caught so many balls that are just, look, you shouldn't
crazy.
Catch that, buddy. Mm-hmm. Which is why this is such an interesting discussion point. Why is it different now?
Are they both overthinking it? Just like KOC wanted JJ to stop thinking and execute the offense. Are they both, because they are good friends and there's so much pressure there, that they're both overthinking it? JJ, from when he drops back, goes, oh, Jets is open. I got to put this perfect ball, and he screws it up. Or Jets going, holy shit, I'm open. I got the ball coming at me. I got to catch it. And then he's not. They're thinking too much about it versus instinctually connecting. Is that possible?
No, it's certainly possible. And that would go with the discussion point about like kind of the sports psychologist. If you're thinking, you're losing. Don't think on the football field. Think on the sidelines. Think in the meeting rooms.
On the football field, it needs to be subliminal.
Mm-hmm. T. Cooper mentions in the chat, maybe Justin Jefferson taking all of August off mattered. Well, remember, he didn't take it off. He did have that hamstring injury. And that, to me, it was an issue, but it was always something that, hey, you can work through it. You can work through it. But I got to tell you, it's really frustrating to see that this is a thing. They're going to get this figured out. It's going to take some reps. It's going to take some mechanical work. It's going to just take effort. And it's going to take it from both sides. Because this isn't just a Jefferson issue. This isn't just a
JJ
issue. It is a combination, because JJ could lay the ball in there nicer. Sam Darnold had much better placement. Therefore, Jefferson makes more catches. And I think the argument that he just catches all these things that he shouldn't have any ability to, I think it's a somewhat flawed one, because it's like the alien thing where Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen can do all these alien things. That affects like what, 4 plays a game? The rest of those plays, you just got to play boring ass quarterback. You got to do the little things. You have to do
the basic things well.
Mm-hmm. You have to do all of that. And then the alien things elevate you to another stratosphere. But if you don't have the first part, the boring stuff, the alien stuff doesn't matter. So for me, when it comes to these two just figuring it out, like Jefferson, look, he does the alien stuff. It's great. But he's got to get back to the basics when it comes to McCarthy and figuring out, hey, you got to tell him where you want that football on each route. He's got to know where you want that football. And then you got to drill it. And this is where I think the offseason is going to be such a big factor here. You got to work on it. You got to spend hours at a local field just outside of the metro. Be like, hey, do this, do that. And when you're throwing me that 15-yard out, I want it here. I want it on this outside shoulder. I don't want it here. I don't want it way out front. I want it here. And that's where I want it every single time. And you're not going to be able to get it there every time. But that's the idea. The idea is I know where to put it, and I'm going to try and put it there every single time. It's going to spray a little bit because you're just a human being. But those things are going to matter. Plus, he's going to talk about velocity. McCarthy's going to figure out the velocity thing where you don't need to rocket. You don't need to rocket it. And that's just a young quarterback thing.
He talked about it on that back shoulder throw to Naylor. That was a thing of beauty, that he didn't rocket the ball. And it came naturally. Well, he needs to develop more of that, and especially with JJ. But once it clicks, it's going to be magical.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be magical, and there's going to be a lot of really good that comes out of it. But right now, it's just growing pains, and they're just not on the same page. They might not even be reading from the same book. I'm trying to think if there's another metaphor that I could use. The only book that I can think of that has like multiple versions is like the Bible. There's so many different versions of the Bible where if you're reading like one Bible verse, it can be written differently in like 4 different prints.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about 2 people reading the same book, but different prints.
Different translations.
Yes, translations. Last thing, Jonathan Greenard will miss the rest of the year. They said he's going to have surgery on his left shoulder. I'm going to be real. I think it's a torn labrum where he could play on it, but it's obviously messing with him. You can play a long time on a torn labrum. The only way to fix it is surgery, and it's just about a pain tolerance thing. The fact that he was out there, yeah, you probably should have just said, you know what, we're out of the playoffs. You shouldn't even play against Cowboys. But it's also one of those injuries where you're really not going to make it worse. It just kind of is what it is, and it's a pain tolerance thing. Well, now that you're really out of it, okay, let's shut you down for the year. Let's get you the surgery. So we're going to see a lot more Dallas Turner. I think that that's a really good thing. His baseline of play has been a lot better. He's stronger. He's figuring things out. And on an overall level, Dave, I'm very happy with where the Vikings are at. I'm very happy with how they're going to continue to grow and develop. Turner also has the ability to try some things in these last few games because he's got nothing to lose. I would take these last 3 games and be like, all right, Turner, let's mess around. Let's try some pass rush moves. He did that ghost move last year against the Bears, which was sick. His main move is speed to power, and he's got a couple sacks by just driving the tackle into the quarterback and then peeling off and getting a sack because the quarterback has to climb the pocket. That is what I think is going to end up happening, where he might try some things. But look, we're going to see a lot more Dallas Turner, and I think he's turned into a very good football player. He's still got development to do. He's only 22 years old, and that comes from a strength and a skill profile. So we're going to see a lot more of him, and I think that's a good thing. Isaiah Rodgers, he's hurt. That sucks. Elbow. Hopefully he can play. If not, Vikings will only have 2 healthy cornerbacks on the roster. The first SKOL search is going to come out soon, and 2 of those prospects are going to be corners. One of them is going to be safety Caleb Downs, and I know you guys are going to want to check that out. That one is already recorded and in Dave's possession. The other 2 are coming. Overall, this is just a battered team. I still think they would be smart to shut down Darrisaw just like they did Greenard. I think you should consider shutting O'Neal down for the same reasons. I don't think you have to shut O'Neal down in the same way because his injuries are super minor. It's like a slightly sprained MCL, an ankle sprain. We're not talking about like a serious injury, but if you're dealing with something where it's like, he might be able to play, just say no. Don't let him play. That's kind of where my purview is at right now. If it's just, I have a bruise, no, go play. You make big money. Go play football. But that is going to be our show here for tonight. Reminder, there might not be an X's and SKOLs this week because I got Wolves tickets. Woohoo. Gonna go see, hopefully, Anthony Edwards on Wednesday. And new to the show, in all the show notes, Dave is going to have a questions document. And all you got to do is put your name and or whatever you want me to call you. If you don't want to use your birth name, I don't care. If you just want to be like, hey, this is Trevor, but your name is actually Joe, I don't care. I'll just call you Trevor. No responses so far, but this is brand new, so that's okay. And I will try to answer them at the end of every show, or maybe we might even craft shows based on the questions. So go ahead and do that. I also put out on the YouTube channel posts and on my Twitter a little survey to try and help make the Real Forno Show a little bit better. All I ask is honest feedback. I don't care if it's negative. Just be genuine with it, and I'll use that to try and make things better throughout the course of the off season and into next year. We'll be back on Thursday. Dave has Who Will Be King, which is not on this channel, but he'll post it in the post section so you can go watch it live.
A frustrated Chicago sports fan, and they will be ecstatic this week.
Yeah, congratulations, you beat the Browns. Whoop-de-doo.
And took back first place in the division. Yeah. Yes.
Hey, all I know is Myles Garrett didn't sack our quarterback. So there's that. When we'll be back in this show Thursday previewing Sunday's game against the New York Giants. And don't forget, Tool Bloggers Saturday. Thank you guys so much for joining. I would love to hear you tell me about JJ McCarthy against a good defense in the comments once this live stream is done. I'm Tyler. He's Dave. SKOL Vikings.
SKOL Vikings. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notifications. It helps us grow this community that we all love our Minnesota Vikings. And on behalf of Tyler Forness and myself, Dave Stefano, thank you so dearly for watching The Real Forno Show. SKOL, everyone!